Hey, welcome to Real Raw Recovery. This is one of the first to air podcasts. So, thanks for joining us off the top. Um, really, this is a father and son team. I'm based in Bangkok, Thailand. My dad's near Toronto, Canada. I've been clean and sober for 18 years, and my dad's got over like 200 years or something like that. We touch on a ton of issues, all dealing with alcohol and drug addiction. And basically, I'm a bit of a contrarian, whereas my dad's a hardcore traditionalist. We get into it pretty good. Hope you enjoy.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life, you know. Trying to make you happy, I couldn't get it right. And I got tired of seeing you frown, you know. Such a pretty smile, I wanna see it once in a while. But you were right for me. You were right for me.
And welcome, sir.
Welcome to Real Raw Recovery.
Hey, Pops.
Okay, let's start with the moment of silence and the Serenity We prayer. God,
God.
grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. I think it's my turn to read.
Yeah, what are you going to read?
February 19th.
All right.
Okay. I'm not different. In the beginning, it was 4 whole years before AA brought permanent sobriety to even one alcoholic woman. Like the high bottoms, the woman said they were different. The skid rower said he was different. So did the artists and the professional people, the rich, the poor, the religious, the agnostic, the Indians and the Eskimos, the veterans and the prisoners. Nowadays, all of these, and legions more, soberly talk about how very much alike all of us alcoholics are when we admit that the chips are finally down. As Bill sees it, page 24. I cannot consider myself different in AA. If I do, I isolate myself from others and from contact with my higher power. If I feel isolated in AA, it is not something for which others are responsible. It is something I've created by feeling I'm different in some way. Today, I practice being just another alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just a garden variety drunk.
How important is that to you that you
How important is it? Yeah, you know what? I guess what I find is that I run into situations like that. I might have one that I'm seeing right now. There's a young guy who's probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 21, 22, and he thinks he's different.
Yeah.
And so I can tell that he thinks he's different. And really, my experience tells me he's not different. He just has this brain of his that tells him he's different. So so that's how I'm thinking of, and once in a while, I'll find myself sitting in a meeting and feeling a little awkward, like I'm not really, I guess, maybe on the beam.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like I'm not really, I don't belong. That happens to me sometimes. Like I feel like just a little bit out of place, maybe. I don't know, and it's. I think it has. Well, I'm pretty sure it has to do with where I'm at. Just not necessarily in a really good place spiritually. So
Like you're a little slower than the rest of the group, or?
Yeah, not slower. maybe in my mind a little faster, maybe. Or maybe sometimes a little slower. I don't know. Yeah, sometimes my
Well, at least that's honest.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel a little bit like that.
No, you certainly get. Yeah, I can back you up on that. Don't feel you're alone on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I sometimes I feel better then, and sometimes I feel like disconnected from, and things like that. And so yeah, I can see how that can creep into my life from time to time. And I think it's really important for like people like this young guy that I'm talking about to feel like he belongs. So anyway, I want to hook up for coffee with him and a couple other buddies, and sort of just have some fun with him, and see if he's able to connect on just a level of just have just see if we can get some kind of connection with us and go from there.
I think it's got to be like, so I know these are short readings, and so I'm not going to be too hard on it, because I see the value in being just another part of the tribe and not trying to separate yourself.
Yeah.
But I think like it's equally as important to be yourself, and most likely you are different. So it's like, it just doesn't like hint at that. And so it's like giving you the one side, and then on the other side of the coin, I'm completely not like you, but we have a common denominator. The common denominator is like, we're a coin, but on one side of it, I got it. Or one side of it is I guess the fact that we can all relate and just another alcoholic. And on the other side is like, I'm like, I'm very different.
Well, I think you're exactly like me. You even look like me.
Right.
So I think that I don't know. Maybe you're more like me than you think, and maybe not. But I know there's certain differences in the way we look at the world, and different aspects of that. But I think overall, we are connected. We are alike, a lot alike.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about me and you.
Yeah, but I mean, just anybody. I mean, we have that common denominator that we suffer from a disease of addiction,
Right.
and that connects us, and makes us the same.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have we come from different places, like different walks of life, and,
different identity. Like we're different people. Like we have our own life, and so it's like it's good to be part of the tribe. Like it's saying.
I mean, some of us are artists and professional people,
right.
Eskimos and whatever.
Right. And then like once you find yourself who you are in the rooms, like you're not going to gel with everyone. And
no.
not only that, you're also going to build a life because of the gifts of recovery. Right. And then it's like, I think it's important there are times when you need to backpedal and go, I'm just another, as it says,
garden variety.
Yeah, that's fine.
Garden variety alcoholic.
But like those days are few and far between for me. Those days, that's not my label I choose. Like it's not like when I go out in the world, it's not typically the label that's going to be the first thing out of my mouth. And especially in your first while, it often is, even if you don't say it, it's in the back of your mind, like that's your whole life. And then kind of like, so I'm not even trying to get to a point. The point is what I originally stated, is that this label I think is beneficial, especially you're talking about the guy who's 21 years old, right?
Right.
But then it's like, okay, you put your life together and you figure out who you are and the cards you've been dealt and what cards you want to discard and what cards you want to pick up and who you are, and you got to play your cards. And like, I just feel like maybe one of those cards is, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, so I'm gonna match with other people in a sense. But it just says today I practice being just. It says the word just. Today I practice being just another alcoholic in the world. Like that. As I read it, I get more and more like almost. I repel again. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not just.
Okay.
I'm not just another alcoholic in AA.
And what is that important to you?
Because this is the reading.
But why is it important that you're not just another alcoholic? Why do you need to be something different?
Good question. I'm thinking.
Because I think that's.
I don't think
I
it's
think.
fair to me. I don't think, to be honest, I don't. I think it's. I don't think it's fair to myself. When I say that, I don't feel like it's the truth. So if I just
Well,
say it without really reviewing what I'm saying, like if I don't question this and I was just to go, yeah, I'm just another alcoholic, no different than anyone else. Okay,
yeah.
that's one way to think about it. And the other way to think about it is like bullshit. Bullshit. I'm not just another alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of AA. No, I'm not. I'm not just another person. I'm not like it's just that's not fair to me. That's not fair. That's not an accurate depiction of who I am.
Well, I think the point behind this is ego deflation. And I think what happens is if my ego's out of whack and I'm thinking about myself all the time and I'm thinking, like I'm somehow better than or whatever, I think that's a problem, for an alcoholic, because, if my ego's out of whack and telling me that I'm better than everybody else or even worse than everybody else or separating me somehow, then it's hard for me to be part of the tribe. And it's hard for me to accept help, because if I'm the end all and be all, I've got all the answers and I'm, better than or even less than, and thinking myself as completely different than everybody else, then, it's hard for me to be part of that tribe, to accept help, to believe that this can work for me too. And I think it's absolutely vital for me coming into recovery that I find a power greater than myself, because if I'm the power, then how am I going to turn my will over to something other than myself? And how am I going to be able to work the rest of the steps? I have to find something, whatever that happens to be, that's greater than me. And but if I'm the end all and be all, then I'm, in a tough place. I'm not going to grow.
No, yeah. So I got to backtrack and indicate, like I'm pointing out that it's a valuable asset to know that you're no better or no worse. It's a
Okay.
great revelation, and it should happen a long time ago, in theory. And that's not my point at all. My point is that it just left, like there's another, it's balance. And if there's no balance, then you're off kilter. And I think if you don't look at who you've become in the rooms accurately, that's also not healthy. And so I just think, like, there are times when I need to come back to knowing that I'm certainly no better than anybody. I'm certainly no worse. And that's a good spot. But there's also so much more than just that. That's not what I'm talking about at all. And I'm not sure how you brought into a higher power into that concept. the concept is that today I practice just being an alcoholic. Today, for me, if I rewrote that today, like today I practice being the best man I can be, being uh, like for me, I would be even more specific. It's like for me, just another alcoholic is not. It's not. That's not an accurate label that I'm going to wear today.
Well, I think I think a lot of people coming in
Yeah, I know.
believe they're different, right?
Okay,
And
right.
so
But
it's important for them to realize that they're not so different.
right. But so you still wear this label today without like it just seems a little culty. It seems a little bit like don't think outside the box.
Well, you know what? Like it's my personal my belief on that is that I'm part of this this universe of God.
Okay.
I'm part of this universe of God, and I believe that I'm part of this universe of God. But at one point, I never used to believe I was part of this universe of God. I thought I was separate from. Right? Remember we talked last week about, you know, drawing a big circle. In the middle of the circle, you put the word God. Then you draw a little stick man. Then you draw this line beside the circle, and then you draw another stick man on the other side. And above the line, you put the word ego. So my ego was separating me from God, right? And so what I came to realize is that my ego was separating from me from God. In reality, I was part of this God thing, part of this God universe, and whatever that happens to be. And so my ego was keeping me separated, but in reality, even though I thought I was separated from it, I was really part of it. So, and you know, somebody coming into the program, and I think there's a lot of people that think in that something along those lines, that they're not really part of this God thing. Some of them don't believe in God. I didn't really believe in any God per se, but you know, a lot of people come in and they're not they don't either believe in God or don't believe that they're connected to God. And I think what happens is after we're in for a while, we realize that we are connected to this power. We do have access to this power, and or we are part of this power. So that that separateness, if you take that a little further, I think that what that separateness is believing I'm different and unique and not like you other people. And so I think that separateness can be a real detriment to me if I believe that I'm not connected to or part of. And if I continue to think that I'm separate from and not like you guys, then I'm going to continue to go on my own merry way and continue to sink deeper and deeper into that abyss, because I believe I know I think I know. I think I know I'm different. I think I'm, you know, and in reality, I'm not so different. I suffer from the same disease, this disease that, you know, this phenomenon of craving combined with the inability to leave it alone. You know, this you know, this disease that when I'm away from it for a while, I have to have it again. And then when I take it again, the craving kicks in, and I've got this inability to stop or control. And so I think that's common amongst all addicts, alcoholics, and that's what, you know, that's how we're all the same. And so because we all have that, and people don't realize that, there's some, you know, people that come around and still believe that they somehow have control, that they have the ability to stop on their own or whatever. And that can be a detriment if you believe that you're different. So if you understand that you're the same and that you can't control it, but there is a way to live without it, and by practicing the principles of the program and doing all that stuff. So if, you know, somebody comes in and understands that and realizes they're part of, that's why being part of this deal is so important somebody just new coming in, they have to understand that they're part of they're the same. We're all the same. We all suffer from that disease, and that we can't control it. And we have and we're never going to control it, despite the fact we have a mind that tells us different. So, so the idea that we have to smash that ego and accept a new way of life and a new way of looking at things is vital, I think. So, it's important for us to be, sure, there are, differences from one human being to the next. We don't have we don't have identical DNA, but we suffer from the same disease. And I think it's important for us to understand that. And if we don't, if I don't understand that, I keep thinking I'm different, I think I'm doomed to die.
Test out that theory. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Be pleasantly surprised, but
that you won't be doomed to die. That you're more than just an alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of AA.
Well, yeah.
You're so much more than that. So for that to be the start.
Yeah, but there's also, but okay. More than that.
My exact question.
More than that, yes, but still.
I was trying to be.
Am I different from that? Am I different from that? Am I different from the other alcoholics?
You have the same problem. Agreed. And the question, I was being a better listener this time around, so I just let you go on. But you didn't address my question, which started your last set of statements. My question was to you today. So you took it back around of what you're supposed to tell everybody when you're sitting in a chair in a meeting. You gave the standard meeting answer. Mm-hmm. What I said is, does that apply to you today? And so it's just like, well, if you're dealing with somebody new, yeah, but I thought we already established all that. So what I'm saying is, like, when I read this, how do I apply this to my life today? And I just don't. It wasn't applicable. I went to a meeting today, and stated I'm not sensitive. I picked that up. There was somebody else earlier, and it wasn't really conscientious, so I wasn't attacking an individual, but the person was going on and on how sensitive they were.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I piped up for some other reasons, but I just also say I'm not sensitive, and I've been on that kick for a while. I think I mentioned it to you last week, and I said I'm not sensitive. And so now I've immediately, like, I'm not the same as this guy. We have the same problem, but he's a sensitive individual. I am not a sensitive individual. And in fact, so now I've isolated, so let's say half the people in the rooms are sensitive and half the people aren't. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm alone, but it's just like I'm even willing to go tell you this. Like, I'll get up in the morning and say, like, I'm really grateful for my sobriety, or I would even be willing to say in the sense, like, I am just another ant in this anthill called Earth. Like, I'm willing to admit that, no problem. There's no what's the word?
Differentiating
factor, or like, I don't think of myself different from other human beings. So then we got the spirit lockdown, so it's not like I'm now in a downward spiral. I can admit clearly that I have the same problem as other individuals with addiction. But if I had cancer, I wouldn't be like, I'm just another human being with cancer. No, you're so much more than that, my friend. It's almost foolish. And the more I talk about it, the more obscene it is, and the more I do actually want to bash it. It's not just like, yeah, I can take it or leave it. It's like, no, that's not. It's fine. Like I said, you're telling the guy who's 21 years old, dude, you got to hand in all your cards and start again. You're just like us. You're starting fresh. You need a new pair of glasses.
Right.
as Bill states it. So or knows that Chuck C.
Chuck C. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, don't get me wrong, but it's almost like you're not hearing me. You just want to give me the recycled meeting version that everyone you think I'm saying is applicable. Is that I'm not just another AA member because of AA. Because of AA, it's like I'm not just another like pawn. I don't like. It's not fair to me. I've been given so much more than that, and I have so much more to offer than that, and there's so much more potential. I do think it's important to where we all, as a human being on the planet, I'm perfectly fine going, I'm just another human being, absolutely, with my faults and my assets.
Warts and all.
But I also, it's like, I just find it's like, to get humble, this is not the only way to get humble.
So you can get humble without giving up your
Identity,
personality, identity, yourself. Yeah. Okay.
and direction.
I can hear that.
And direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I also stated in the meeting today, I don't like people.
Mm-hmm.
After I said that, I almost wish I would have backpedaled a little bit. I didn't have a chance because, again,
Right.
there's another side of that coin. There's a lot of days I love people, but I was making a point about
Right.
how you use that in a sense, you call it like a detriment. Like, not if someone told you don't like people, you'd almost think they have a lot of issues you'd have to break down. But what I was getting at is that, so what I do is I really personally enjoy my alone time. So it was like taking a negative and turning it into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
But it just came out a little bit harsh. So I didn't have a chance to go, well, wait a minute, I'm just making a point. And I was just something I thought about later. But I didn't isolate myself from the people at the meeting. I had some great chats with two strong members, with one over 30 years, close to 40, one over 25 years. Those are my people. Those are my people. And then I also befriended a guy with 2 years on social media after. Little bit of balance. And so I'm not, it's not about isolating, just saying like, oh, I'm just another alcoholic, and saying, no, I'm not like you. No, that's not my point at all. I just don't like the way this was written. I just feel it was like, that's a good starting point. Today, I practiced being just another alcoholic in the Worldwide Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. What I always state is that, how do I relate this to me right now? Not where I've been, not what you should say to everybody, not what you should say to a meeting, not what you should say to a guy who's got 21 days. How does this, I'm talking because I'm only speaking from my own personal view and my perspective. So when I read this, how is this applicable today? It's not. It's not. And that's why it's like, so but I really thought I got it clear that I said, if you're new, of course it's applicable. Of course. And I'm not trying to say that AA hasn't given me everything either. It's just like, I don't look at my life like that. It's limiting and it's dishonest. And that's
okay.
That's just how, the more I look into it, the more strongly I feel about it. At first, it was almost like I took it with a grain of salt. Then, like, as we were breaking it down and I heard you telling me what you were telling me, it's like, no, wait a minute. What? That's not fair. That's not like it's.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So I guess speaking from my point of view, I don't really feel like, I feel when I'm connected to the tribe.
Yeah.
I get a sense of comfort from that, right? I get a sense of a feeling of like, oh, this feels good. I feel good. I'm glad I'm connected to the tribe, and I'm glad I'm not feeling like I'm better than or worse. And I'm glad I'm just feeling like I'm part of.
Yeah.
And certainly I am. You know, there are certain aspects of me that are different than other people, and and I don't want to squash anybody's individuality. I don't want to do that. But I think at some level, I really want to believe that we are all part of the same tribe and all part of the same deal and all God's kids, and we're not different that way. And you know, and sometimes you know, I think I waver and I slip away from that mentality, and I start to compare myself to other people, and I start to judge the shit out of everybody else, and so when I think when I do that, it's good for me to come back to that place where I feel like I'm part of and connected again. And so yeah, that's I think that's, you know, and I don't know, you know, I don't know what the limitations are in that. I don't know you know, I don't know how far with that I should go, or you know, I don't know how far I can waver, you know, by being, you know, by being an individual, by being
free from a tribe.
right. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to waver. I don't want to get away from the tribe. I don't want to judge. And so because I feel like crap when I do that. When I start judging other people, I really feel like crap, because I think ultimately I'm judging myself anyway. And, you know, so if I find myself in a place where I'm judging other people, not feeling connected to others, I don't feel good. So I need to get back into that place where I feel like I'm, you know, part of that tribe and not different from. And I guess, you know, so maybe it's like, you know, I've got some leeway, you know, it's like I'm on a little bit of a leash, and you know, I have with my individuality, and I like to have some of that, and maybe like you're saying, it's important to have some of that individuality and being, you know, being yourself and not being, you know, pigeonholed with everybody else. But it's like I can do that, but when I get to the end of my leash, maybe it's like I need to come back because I'm getting too far away and I'm not comfortable anymore. So I need to come back. So maybe that's how I can look at it. Maybe that's how I can, you know, explain it. Do you follow me?
Yes, 100%. I'm being a little more conscientious of when I'm rambling on. I would like to listen to you as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. I think it's always good for me to realize that I'm part of, but at the same time, you know, exploring my individuality is good too.
Yeah. Balance.
You know, balance, right? Balance. But like I said, if I'm on a leash and when I get to the end of my leash and I'm in a bad place because I'm too far away from the tribe, then I need to come back.
Might be an exciting day, the one day that you get to be released from your chains.
Yeah. I'll tell you all about it.
But yeah, what's interesting though, because I think we're on the same page, because I really agree with this, and it's just the wording I don't like about the second portion of this reading. I really can, like, I don't think it doesn't strike me at all reading this. Nowadays, all of these and legions more soberly talk about how very much alike all of us alcoholics are when we admit that the chips are finally down. Bill states how very much alike all of us are, essentially, right? That's what he says.
Yeah, when the chips are down, when we admit that the chips are down.
That's very different wording, how very much alike.
Yeah.
I'm all over that for some reason, versus today I practice being just. practice just being, or being just. Why did they, today I practice today I practice being another alcoholic.
Being just another alcoholic.
Yeah.
Just another alcoholic. Well, I think that goes back to what I was talking about. Is getting away from the tribe to the point where I'm starting to compare myself to others, either too favorably or not favorably enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I start, when I'm in a bad place. So then I can bring myself up and just practice being just another alcoholic, and just being part of the tribe, and not being, standing out from. Because you know what, I think if I look at myself and the way I used to think before I got into recovery, I think what I would do is, I wanted to float above the crowd. I wanted to be special. I wanted to be better than.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to be. And then sometimes I would feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm less than. I feel so like I don't measure up in so many ways. And so always feeling like I'm better than, I'm not as good as, and never feeling like I really just belong. So now I come to this place where meet other people in recovery, and realize that we are alike, as Bill says, and we are alike. We're the same. We have that suffer from the same thing, and we also suffer from that same false pride that we feel that we're better than or less than, and it's, I don't know why to me it felt so important to feel like I was better than. Why does my ego need that? And I think that's part of my disease. So it's nice to smash that ego down and just feel like, you know what, I'm just happy to be part of this deal, right? I'm just happy to be part of this. I don't need to be special. I don't need to be better than everybody else. I don't need that. It feels really good to contribute to recovery, somebody else's recovery. It feels good to be able to contribute to the conversation at a meeting, and feels good to be able to, carry the message, help another, all those things. Like, that feels good, but at the same time, I don't want to feel like, I realize we all have, every one of us has unique ability to help somebody, because our stories are different, because we are different.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, right? In a lot of ways, we're different. And because of that, we have a unique ability to help other people. Your experience that you bring to the table is different than mine, and it's different than other people's. And so, when you share in somebody, especially somebody who's new and looking for a connection of some kind, and they hear you speak, and they hear you speak, and they hear you, and they go, "Wow,
maybe I'm gonna jump off a building."
Yeah, I got to get the hell out of here.
Right.
No, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's some kind of connection they make, and it's like, because there's a feeling they relate to that you express, and they realize that, like, it's belonging, right? We all want to belong, whether we realize it or not, I think, and I don't want to float above the crowd, and I don't want to, I don't want to live below the crowd. I want to be part of sometimes. And, and it's good to know that I am sometimes. And when I'm not, it's because my ego's separating me. And so, my ego's not such a good thing.
So everything you're saying, I don't disagree with any of it.
Right.
At all. It's just that today I didn't feel like I'm separate and better than everybody. That's not where I'm coming from.
Well, what is it about? Okay, so what is about that term? Today I practice being just another alcoholic.
Because that's not what I practice today.
Okay.
That's just what started the conversation, was that that's not what I practice. So I am in, I have a feeling of, I don't agree with that sentence. So that's what I just, and then as I was unraveling it, I realized more and more why I don't. But like I said, if you go up a paragraph or the previous reading, I have nothing stands out when I read much of us. It says how very much alike, much alike. You added the word same in there. He didn't say same. He said much alike. Like, we're not the same. We're just not. And I was just like imagining you talking about, like, I've been in circles where I feel like my high IQ is a little higher than my counterparts. And I'm imagining you were at a circle recently where someone was like, hey, you mind if I have a sip of your coffee? And you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. Where am I? And then there's other times where you're in a circle where you're standing around high profile guys who also got sober, and you're like, hey, can I borrow a couple bucks? So like I'm perfectly fine being balanced. It's not about like I speak for today. Today I don't feel less than or more than. But I don't also feel like I'm just another alcoholic. I feel like I've worked so hard to build a beautiful story that doesn't just land into that. So that's why I was just like, but going to the meeting today, I'm much alike a couple guys for sure. Not all of them. Half of them were rambling about shit I just don't relate to, or I can't, nor do I wish to, nor do I want to even try to see myself in their shoes. But there were a handful that I'm like, yeah, I get you. I feel you, man. I'm much more alike those guys than half the room there. And then as far as getting humble, I'm the same exactly as all the rest of the people on this planet, sucking air on a flying rock in the sky, like in the universe. Yeah, I'm another ant in the anthill for sure. But in a meeting, I don't just automatically assimilate with everyone just because we all have cancer, or put in whatever disease you want to put in there. It's like the guys in your other groups you go to, you don't have to say like, I'm just another so-and-so in this group. No, but AA is asking you to do that here. Today, it's asking you today, I only am just part of this group. I'm only just
and you understand that that's really important for a newcomer, because
you're acknowledging your disease for the first time.
Yeah, because the ego's out of whack, right?
But so that's
the false pride is out of whack.
But I don't get off on talking about that. I don't get off on regurgitating all of that. I only am inspired and get riled up when I figure out, how is this okay? I read that, and it wants me just to say I'm a part of this group, and only
I guess, yeah, you know what, I think what you're saying is valid and in a sense maybe really important, because I don't think that like, okay, somebody coming in as a newcomer for the first time, and hearing people share and seeing people, what they, what kind of lives they're leading in recovery after a period of time. I think it is important to see that people are pursuing interests that they might not have been able to pursue if they had stayed drunk. And so, I mean, it's great that we all have dreams, and we all have aspirations, and we're all able to fulfill like a lot of those dreams and aspirations. And many of us are, going to having really some really cool accomplishments and things that we're doing with our lives that are really kind of fun and interesting. And I mean, somebody coming in would look at that and go, yes, that's exciting. It's exciting to know that I can pursue dreams, right? And dreams are doable. And so that part of that, you know, if we all just came and, you know, and we all just came and into this big melting pot of recovery, and nobody got, you know, everybody became the same, and nobody did have dreams that they were pursuing or anything else. Yeah, that would be kind of boring. It would be not very attractive for me as a young guy, especially like a young guy, 21, 22, coming in the program, to see, you know, people going through the motions or whatever. I mean, just get sober, and that's all you need, right? Just be part of this deal, and that's all you need. Because maybe you need a little more than that, I think is what you're saying, right? Maybe you need a little more than that. And so, that's important, I think, to see people, you know, like yourself, you know, being able to accomplish great things with your art, for example, and you know, to pursue a life that's, you know, not what you consider average, normal, routine, anything like that. And you know, and that's going to be very attractive to a lot of people who don't want to be average or routine. So yeah, so the fact that we do have our differences, yeah, that's really important, I think, too. That's maybe vital. That's another thing. That's why we all have a unique ability to help other people, because another part of it is that we do have differences that people can see, you know, and then so there are people that we're attracted to, right? So that's great.
So just
that part of it is good.
so
Right.
if I may solidify my point, the young guy I added on social media today.
Yeah.
This is what I wrote him.
Okay.
He wrote to me, "Hey Tyler, good to connect with you. I really like your work."
Right.
I said, "Thanks, brother. Thought you would be a good dude to add. You've got some style and live in Bangkok. Haha." And then I said, "Oh, and of course, clean and sober." So my attractiveness.
What was that line again? You got style and what?
Style and you live in Bangkok.
Okay.
So I wasn't attracted to him because he was clean and sober.
Right.
At all. I could care less. Because if I met another guy and happened to be on the train and we hit it off,
right,
then that has nothing to do with whether he decides to abstain from drinking or using drugs.
Right.
We're gonna have an additional theme. But if I meet up with this guy, the majority of it, well, because he's new, it's gonna be different. You see, like, and so I disagree about judging people. I'm gonna judge that situation. Like, if he needs to talk about how he's the same as everyone else, I'm down. I mean, like, same as everyone else in the program.
Yeah.
I get it. I know where to put my chips.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be like, no, man, you're more than that. You can do anything you want. That's not my message. I'm not, and that's why this podcast I think is so valuable, is because you got all these people who are living sober lives that are getting fed fucking shit. And it's like, I just feel like you got to think for yourself too. And if you don't know how to think, then yes, you got to open the book. But then there's other times like, you know, I'm going to break my chain, break my leash, and think for myself for fucking once. Okay, good idea. And so that's why I said, like, here's my point. Thanks, brother. Thought you'd be a good dude to add. You got some style and live in BKK. Ha ha. And then I wrote after that, and of course, clean and sober. I didn't add him because he was clean and sober. I didn't go around and get everyone's number at the meeting and add them because they're clean and sober. That's not my number one attribute that I'm looking for in another human being to connect with. At all. I've had way more people fuck me who are clean and sober, quote, than not.
Yeah.
So, like, let's get real. And that's what this whole podcast for me is about. Let's get fucking real. Don't feed me shit. Don't trap me in the tribe that can burn me just as much as raise me up.
Yeah, it's important to have discernment, because the old saying, right? What if you have a drunken horse thief and you sober him up, what have you got? You got a sober horse thief, right? So
Right. Or
people,
if you got a
some
drunken
people,
loser and sober
yeah,
him
some
up, you
people,
still got a loser.
right? And most of us are losers. So the what is how do we how what do we do to get out of being a loser anymore? We change, of course, and that's but some people don't change. So yeah, just because they have just because they're hanging around a meeting doesn't mean you know doesn't mean they've changed.
But that also doesn't mean they're valuable to me. Doesn't mean that they're going to bring me something to add value to me personally.
Of course not. Of
Right,
course not. You're right.
right,
Yeah.
right. So therefore, you might want to look outside the box a little bit. It's not just in the church basement.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find all your answers there. You're not going to find all the right people there. You're not going to get your wife there necessarily. You're not going to get your girlfriend there that everyone seems to find. You're not going to find your new employer. You're not going to get all your counsel from there. You're not going to find your necessarily your best advocates or laughs. There's so much more. Then I will always add, but it doesn't mean that you're not a member anymore, and it doesn't mean that you need to have your own set of tools that work for you. For me, it always comes down to counsel. I believe in my counsel. I have people on my counsel that are not sober. But it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
just because they're not sober, if I present them an issue that I think that they would be valued to, they don't go, oh, you should have a drink first and think about it. No, they know they're my counsel for a reason. They know the ins and outs. They know what's up and down for me. That's why they're my counsel. They're not. The majority are sober. Don't get me wrong. Just as much as I bash some of the people in the rooms, the greatest people of all time I've ever met, ever, are from the rooms. I'm just giving you a balanced view. When I read the statement, just another alcoholic, is not balanced. That's my whole point. That's not a balanced statement. It's almost better if it said, today I practice being just another alcoholic so I can open the door to see more. There's no, it's limited. Imagine it said, today I practice being just another alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous so I can open the door to the world.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. But I don't want to say but, I want to say and. Again, if you're just gonna see what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense, especially for somebody who's been around for a while. And like I said earlier, even the newcomer, it's good to know that there's life after just coming to meetings and hang around. It's important to know that there's just not, because it can sound like a pretty boring life to just come to meetings and hang around other members of the fellowship or whatever. So maybe that doesn't sound like a really attractive thing, but when you see people like yourself who are pursuing their dreams in many different ways, that can be an attractive thing. But at the same time, when you're just coming into the fellowship and getting sober, then it's probably a really good idea to hang around other people trying to get sober, other people who are sober, and just staying in that kind of little cocoon of sobriety for a while. It's very beneficial, I think, to do that, and to understand that these people are just like me, and we are alike in so many ways. And yes, we have different things that different positive characteristics, different things that different abilities, different lifestyles, and all that stuff. Sure, that's fine, but we are all alike, because I think, especially for me coming around, there was a big part of me that wanted to say, no, you're different. No, you're different. No, you're not like them. No, and so that was my ego talking. about how, like I said before, I wanted to float above the crowd or be, feel like I'm less than. My ego would that's where my ego would take me. And it's important for me to smash that ego and to understand that I'm alike these people. These are people are just, I'm not better than, I'm not less than, I'm just like them. And, see, that's a process to get to that point where you feel like you belong, where you feel like you're part of. That's a process. And I think it's important to hang around until that process takes place. Then after a while, when we do get to that point where we feel part of, and we stop judging so much, we do honor each other's differences more. And I think all that stuff too. Like, I mean, because there's differences, like there's the guy who says, "Hey, let me have a sip of your coffee." Like,
I'm really thirsty.
There is that guy, but you know what? And that's okay. I don't have to judge him in a negative way either. I just have to have discernment, right? Maybe it's not a guy I want to hang around with, but you know what? If he needs help today, I'm going to help him.
That was okay. To your point earlier, I believe in the mythology of it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
Right. So like when you're in the village, it's great, and when you're growing up and discovering who you are after you put down your medication, which is alcohol. You are raised by your village, your local home group, and the surrounding meetings,
mm-hmm.
and the people involved, and the village raises you and puts you back together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And isn't it a great feeling part of that? Like, isn't a great feeling part of that?
Yeah. There's other great feelings too, though.
Yeah, that's right. But it is. But there, that sense of belonging that happens to somebody who has been estranged from society for a long time, maybe forever, that to finally have that sense of belonging is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, and so I see the benefit of having this attitude that they are just like me. But yes, they are just like me, but they are different too. And that's okay.
And that's why I like the word alike. Much alike.
You like alike, and I say just like me. I don't care.
Right.
You're more hung up on the terminology than I am.
No, only in the sense we're saying the word just.
Yeah.
You're just this. You're just that.
Yeah. And again, that's a terminology that probably, in some ways,
it's very good.
Is good for me to think. In some ways, maybe not. Sometimes when my ego's out of control, it's good for me to think that I'm just like everybody else.
But didn't say everybody else. That's my point.
Yeah, just like everybody in the program fellowship. Yeah. Exactly.
Just another alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Right. And I don't.
So I think sometimes it's good for me to think that. But,
agreed.
And you don't, and that's okay.
No, I sometimes I do think so. I see that from the very beginning.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you.
I hear you.
No, I hear you.
I know. No.
I heard you first.
I heard you a lot too. We are much alike.
Okay. We're much alike. We're much alike, and I'm just like you.
So like,
I even look like you.
I would name this podcast Much Alike.
Much alike. I would name it, I think, I practice being just another alcoholic.
I see. I would name it, Can I Have a Sip of Your Coffee? All right. I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, because I really don't think we're disagreeing. I'm just trying to add another perspective that's not. I'm adding. It's almost as my logic is I'm adding another paragraph to this.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. That's all. I'm not even saying
Good.
take away. Just
Yeah.
adding.
Just an addendum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ready?
All right.
Let's close. God,
God.
grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, wisdom to know the difference.
So I'm gonna what should I do? Stop it, pause it, what?
Yep. Sure. Stop it. Pause it. Yeah.